Well, I'm excited to see you. Now, what are we going to talk about? First of all, what is the #1 health problem in the world? What is it? #1 health problem?
Without question, at least in the Western world, it's obesity.
Obesity.
Obesity is defined as an excess accumulation of body fat that is above the normal or healthy range for a given height.
As a result of the rampant spread of obesity in the U.S., the government has been forced to raise the definition of obesity from 55% body fat to 90%.
It's high time the government stepped in and did something about this problem. I don't want to be obese.
Obesity is most commonly measured via body mass index, or BMI. BMI is a reasonable estimator of body fat. An individual's BMI is calculated from their weight and height, which makes this type of measurement an inexpensive and easy way to indirectly assess body fatness. Other means of measuring an individual's body fat are underwater weighing, dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, isotope dilution, waist circumference measurements, and skin fold thickness measurements. However, these methods can be difficult and expensive to obtain, which makes them less often used.
You know, if we don't change the obesity trend we have right now in America, by the time the next generation takes the mantle of responsibility, almost 90% of us will be overweight or obese.
The obesity epidemic has been growing at an alarming rate. The prevalence of obesity in children 2 to 5 years of age and adolescents 12 to 19 years of age has doubled in the last 30 years from 5% in the early 1970s to more than 10% in 2000. Between 1998 and 2003, the prevalence of obesity increased from approximately 13 to 15.2%, and the prevalence of extreme obesity increased from 1.7 to 2.2%. However, there is some hope. From 2003 to 2010, the prevalence of obesity decreased slightly from 15.2 to 14.9%. Similarly, the prevalence of extreme obesity decreased from 2.2 to 2.0%. Currently, an estimated 17% of children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 years of age are classified as obese. This equates to roughly 12.5 million individuals.
1 in 3 kids are overweight or obese, and we're spending $150 billion a year treating obesity-related illnesses. So we know this is a problem and there's a lot at stake.
I see overweight and obese kids every day.
I know what their future holds.
Diabetes, heart disease, cancer.
It is an epidemic, and it's preventable.
Granted, no one thing is responsible for America's obesity epidemic.
UCLA researchers found that people who drink soda are 27 times more likely to be overweight. A regular daily soda drinker can consume, get this, 39 pounds of sugar a year just from those drinks.
Sugar-sweetened beverages are defined as beverages that contain additional sugar and/or additional natural sweeteners that have caloric value. Sugar-sweetened beverages include, but are not limited to, soft drinks, juice and punch, sports drinks, coffee and teas, and energy drinks. 100% pure fruit juices and milk are typically not included as sugar-sweetened beverages, as they do not contain any added sugars and have some nutritional value, although they do possess caloric value.
It has been shown that sugar-sweetened beverages are the leading source of added sugar intake and among the top 5 energy sources in children's diets. Over the last 50 years, consumption of soft drinks has increased 500%. This rise in the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages among 2 to 18-year-olds parallels the increase in obesity prevalence. Present research supports that sugar-sweetened beverage consumption is causally linked to obesity, and that decreased consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages can help combat the obesity epidemic. A literature review yielded 25 of 34 studies that had findings suggestive of a strong causal association between the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages and an increase in body weight, body fat, or body mass index. The likelihood of observing this combination of results by chance alone is 0.003. The study showed, by various statistical methods, a positive association between sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and obesity. These findings were consistent between study type and sample population, established temporal relationships between exposure and outcome, demonstrated evidence of dose response, were biologically plausible and consistent with what is currently known about obesity. 3 of the documents examined were experimental studies testing the relationship between sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and obesity. In all 3, a decrease in obesity was seen with a decrease in sugar-sweetened beverage consumption. There is some research that does not support the link between sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and obesity. 10 studies included in our evidence table showed little or no association between sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and obesity. However, each of these studies had significant methodological or analytical problems that limited their interpretation. Common problems seen in these 10 studies included small sample sizes, short duration of follow-up, unclear definitions, unreliable assessment methods, and not accounting for known confounders.
I'm saying, is it possible that we'll figure out a way to be fat and healthy?
I think that's going to be a long shot.
We want to eliminate this problem of childhood obesity in a generation.
Across our portfolio of more than 650 beverages, we now offer over 180 low and no-calorie choices. We've created smaller, portion-controlled sizes, zero-calorie, all-natural sweeteners. We've added the calorie content of all our beverages on the front to help make it even easier for people to make informed decisions.
Well, yeah, I guess that pretty much... Wait a minute, back up. How many variations on sugar water?
650 beverages.
650! Okay, let me get this straight. You flood the market with a metric ton of sweetened crap, most of which is somehow less expensive than actual water, and then urge us to make responsible, informed choices?
Some leading health experts are calling for a sin tax on the sugary beverages Americans drink like it's going out of style.
A sin tax is a form of sumptuary taxation. It is, in effect, a fee added on to goods or services in order to control use or coerce restraint in consumption. Sin taxes have been used historically against products and services that are viewed as socially undesirable, such as cigarettes, alcohol, gambling, and air pollutants. Cigarette taxes imposed between 1955 and 1988 are credited with lowering smoking rates by 2.5% or 3 packs per household. Alcohol taxes have not only lowered overall alcohol consumption, but ongoing and extensive research has shown that there have been related and substantial declines in alcohol-related mortality, violence, and crime. Reports from the EPA conclude that increased regulation of vehicle emissions and taxes decreased volatile organic compound emissions by 25% and carbon monoxide emissions by 39% from 1970 to 1992. Tax success in changing behavior and health outcomes with these initiatives has led to the consideration of also levying a sumptuary tax on sugar-sweetened beverages. There is a high price elasticity of demand surrounding sugar-sweetened beverage consumption. Price elasticity of demand is defined as the percentage change in quantity of a product demanded in response to a 1% change in price. The USDA estimates that a 10% increase in the price of sugar-sweetened beverages would reduce consumption by over 12%. Other studies verify this assertion and go on to show that a penny per ounce tax would decrease consumption by 24%. A penny per ounce tax is approximately a 20% increase in price. This increase should be reflected directly in the shelf price of the product, where the consumer is more apt to notice it, rather than as a hidden fee or sales tax at the register.
Adding pennies to the cost of sugary sodas and drinks, we can help reduce obesity.
They say that a tax of 1% per ounce on soft drinks sweetened with sugar could be a major source of revenue for healthcare reform, pulling in nearly $15 billion a year.
An ideal recommendation for a beverage tax can be found in House Bill 779 put forward by Texas State Representative Joe Farias of San Antonio. The bill would impose a tax on sugar-sweetened beverages and ingredients and use the revenue generated for children's health promotion programs. The legislation contains a thorough description of sugar-sweetened beverages and recommends the appropriate level of taxation. It categorizes sugar-sweetened beverages as a carbonated or non-carbonated, non-alcoholic beverage that contains natural or artificial sweeteners. The exceptions to taxation under this bill include beverages that are sweetened only by a sweetener that does not add calories, are 100% vegetable or fruit juice, have more than half of 1% alcohol per ounce, are referred to as sport drinks, intended to be infant formula, and milk products, coffees, or teas that don't have sweeteners that add calories. The levy that Senator Farias's bill recommends is a rate increase of a penny for each ounce of sugar-sweetened beverage sold. This is equivalent to the 20% price increase needed to decrease consumption and subsequently decrease obesity. Increasing the price of sugar-sweetened beverages by a penny per ounce will result in approximately a 50-calorie a day decline in energy intake. This decline in intake could equate to an individual weight loss of up to 5 pounds per year. Other estimates project that this decline in energy consumption will decrease overweight prevalence in adults from 66.9% to 62.4% and obese from 33.4% to 30.4%. In children, the estimated decline in at-risk for overweight under a 20% tax is from 32.3% to 27%, and actual overweight from 16.6% to 13.7%.
That's all, folks.